Welcome to Overflow the podcast, formerly the In This Together podcast. Still hosted by Maya, me, now joined by Blakely.
We're inviting you into real, honest conversations with guests like Chance and Isla.
And friends, all about life, faith,
health, relationships, and more. It's not about having it all together.
It's about letting God lead. By His grace,
not ours, our cups overflow, even in the wild and barren places, just like Psalm 23 promises.
So grab your laundry basket, start your walk, or just take a breather.
We're so glad you're here.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Overflow podcast. I am here. I'm your host, MM, and then we got other host,
Blakely.
And Blakely, just tell us a little bit. We're going to preface this episode because we've got some stuff going on.
We do.
In between the ears.
Currently, my right ear is popping like a, that old candy.
Pop Rocks.
Pop Rocks.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it sounds like in my right ear. I am at 50% hearing capacity. I had a tube put in on Saturday due to an insane ear infection. So I have an increased amount of sympathy for those going through ear issues out there. I see you. And I hear you halfway.
Halfway.
No pun intended.
I wasn't going to make that joke, and you did. I'm glad you did.
So if my mouth doesn't open past here, it's because you don't realize how much your jaw and ear are indeed connected. So.
Yes. So if she doesn't seem like she's excited to have this conversation, she is.
I can't wait to talk about what we're talking about today.
But she just might be a little bit more
stoic.
You're gonna have to just stoic. Yeah, exactly. So just wanted to give you a preface that Blakely is in fact okay. We're not being held. She's not being held here against her own will.
No. I
But
did choose to be here.
Yes,
today.
she has a little bit of things going on. So, anyways, speaking of what we're going to be doing and talking about today, we're going to be having a really just honest conversation about our free time. Which you might be like, what in the world does that mean? And we're going to talk about that in a second.
All right, clicking off.
Yes, clicking off right now. I don't want to talk about how I use my free time. Yes, please stay. But we're going to be talking about just an honest conversation about how we use our free time, and you can kind of talk about how we got on this subject, this topic, and what that even looks like.
Yes. So as simple as looking at our lovely screen time reports each week.
Yes. You see where we spend our free time.
Yes. I'm saying that halfway jokingly, but halfway serious because what we're talking about today is kind of just the destruction that we've realized social media has put on our lives, but largely we've seen it come through in our free time. I think both of us have been walking through a couple weeks of just realizing through seeing screen time reports and talking to friends and all the things, just how much time we spend on social media. It's literally crazy.
Yeah.
And we just realized that in busier seasons of life, it's really easy to feel like you're not on social media as much, to not really realize the hold that it has on us. But when life does slow down, I think for both of us, life is often really busy and then it gets slow, and we're, in our apartments a lot, we work from home.
Yeah.
And so just realizing that oftentimes when we have free time, we turn immediately to social media, and we almost don't even know how to spend free time apart from our phones.
Yeah.
So
it's the first thing we pick up. And we are having this conversation, and it's kind of a unique conversation to have because we are actually social media managers.
Yes.
Our job title is a social media manager for multiple clients. And so we say this, and we don't want to come on and have this conversation be social media is all bad, because we've seen how it can, there's such an opportunity for light to be shown there, and for just beautiful things to happen.
Yeah.
But we also are very cognizant because we've been on social media so much that we're oh my gosh, there is also so much darkness here, and it is so hard to kind of navigate sometimes, and we just want to say that one, we don't have it all figured out, but I feel for the past few weeks, I've been in a Bible study, which was so crazy because I was kind of feeling this way, Blakely was kind of feeling this way, and I was in a Bible study. Yeah, separately. And for the past few weeks, because we are one, on social media so much, and then two, then we'll go and scroll at night, whenever we're trying to go to bed or whatever. And I was having conversations with some girls that were in a Bible study, book study with, and we were talking about just how much we use our phone. And the first week we started talking about it, which was like 3 weeks ago, and we were all like realizing like, oh my gosh, we're on our phones like so much. We really want to like get rid of that distraction. And then like the next week, I almost felt like guilty because I was aware of how much I was on it.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like it's just such something that like we pick up and all these things. And then we've been having so many good conversations as the weeks have gone on about like how to remove our phones and social media and actually enjoy living life. And so we kind of want to talk about just the space that it is and how like tips we put in place, and also like what do you do whenever you get off your phone? What do you kind of do?
So good. And I think something too off of that, like Maya said, I feel like I've been on this crazy journey the last couple weeks of one. I think it's like this with so many things of life. It's like step one's awareness.
Yeah.
And that process of awareness has honestly been so crippling.
Yeah.
Because it has been such a humbling thing to get to the point of like, wow, I love God so much, but I am actually addicted to my phone.
Yeah.
Like I am not just like on social media too much, I'm addicted to my cellular device.
Yeah.
I am addicted to getting on social media to fill my free time, to stimulate my brain. And I think it's been a really weird journey because in that acknowledgement of, wow, this is actually a huge issue in my life that I want to address, I've also been battling these thoughts that's like Maya said, social media is so good and there's so much good that can come from it. And we've both noticed so much good in our life that has come as a result of connections being made on social media, whether it's through work or through people. And just like, I love when I'm on social media and I see an encouraging story and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that we have the access to hear news all around the world right at our fingertips. It's amazing. But at the same time, I feel like I've been on this like juggling journey of whoa, my addiction is really real and it's really strong and it has got to stop. I've got to figure this out. And also, I want to figure this out because I don't want to run from social media.
Yeah, I love that you say that.
Want to step 100% away from it because I just believe that Ephesians 5:8 talks about how we were in darkness and now we're in light, and I've just been thinking a lot about that, of like the light that we carry as people and how the only reason darkness exists is because it's the absence of light. And so I think about that with social media. It can be so easy to go on and be like, it's such a dark place. And because of that darkness, we almost want to completely run away from it. But God calls us to bring the light into the darkness. And so I think where I'm at in my journey right now is like, okay, I've acknowledged this addiction. I've acknowledged the good that is social media, but I first need to get myself into a healthy mindset before really like being empowered to, through God's grace, obviously, bring light into social media. But just honestly, I know that sounds all jumbled, but just kind of really realizing like the journey it's been of acknowledging, and then what I want my relationship to look like with social media. And I'm just honestly at the place where I'm like, I do have so many questions of how to get there. And that's honestly what we want a lot of today's conversation to be, is just like the honest truth of where we are, but also like there are so many steps we know to take moving forward, but there's also so many that we're like, what does this look like? So I guess just kind of asking you, Maya, like where are you at in terms of that journey? Because I know we've talked about that. But do you feel like you're stepping into social media healthier right now, or are you kind of like wanting to step back? What is it like?
It's so interesting because if you asked me this a year ago, I would literally be like, oh, I don't even care. Like I was so busy that like I didn't even really like have any time to be on social media. Like for like I feel like the past few years, like I was like, oh, I just like, I know people would say like, oh, because of social media, like it's like I'm comparing a lot and there's like so much darkness. And I feel like my eyes were like, I didn't even really, I knew it was there for sure. And I could totally see that. But at the same time, I was just like not really on it as much. So I didn't really realize how consuming it could be until, so then like this off season, I kind of like, as I said in like the last podcast episode, I kind of got to like slow down some more. And I then obviously became like social media management, like doing that. And I used to just like post on Instagram and then get off and like not even really look at anything.
Yeah.
But now, because it's like one, part of my job, and then two, like also I feel like a lot of you are probably listening to this post grad and you're not maybe in a house with like surrounded by girls. Chance and I lived in Delaware this past year in Pennsylvania. And so like I hardly really know anyone. I have a few friends, like I have friends that are on the team, but it's like I didn't really have a bunch of people around me and different things. So it's like I was kind of like lonely. And so I'm going on my phone, and it's like with good intent. Like I think we were talking about this earlier. It's like a lot of times we go on it with good intent, like to go and see what our friends are doing, and like it's like I love seeing what my friends are doing. A lot of them are long distance, but then I get on there and I like see something else on TikTok, and I see something else on Instagram, and I was just have started to realize recently like how dark it can be, and like how consuming it can be. And what I mean by dark is it's like truly like it's so sad how desensitized we become to seeing somebody completely tear down on social media. If I see someone say they're like a TikTok influencer or whatever, and then like you read the comments, rude. The thing is that you're like darkness, and somebody might be like, what do you mean? We haven't even really identified that. We see a rude comment, we're like, oh, that's like normal, or that's okay. But it's like, no, it's not. It's not normal and okay and to be like just completely bashful on the internet. And I think I just have, my eyes have been so open because I've been on it so much more. Of like, oh my gosh, and for, like about a month ago, my eyes were really open of like how much it was starting to affect my thoughts. Like how it was starting to affect like how I even saw like, just like, even how I wanted to go on social media because I was like, if they're saying these things about this person, I don't want to, like, then I'm like, they're definitely have things to say about me. Sure. Like, if you think about it, I think that's what keeps so many people off of, like, from sharing what's really going on in your life or for sharing about your faith. Like, I remember people would say, like, I can't believe that you're so honest or, like, vulnerable on social media. Like, what? Like, I don't care. Like, that's just me sharing my life. But now I've gotten to a place where I'm like, I get how that's hard. Because if I've seen all of the just, honestly, like, just mean people things or mean things people are saying. And so anyways, I would say my eyes, where I'm at right now is my eyes have been really opened to just the negativity on there. And I feel like I realize how it can be so consuming in our own thoughts. And this past month I've really been on like kind of like a, like you say, a journey of just getting off my phone more and putting better parameters on it and not allowing, I was actually just at a camp, and one of the messages that we were talking about was, and I know we talk about it in Sunday school, but is the guarding your heart and like the armor of God in Ephesians, and it talks about the helmet of salvation, and that is like where we get like our identity from, and like that's what we, like how you protect your mind and your thoughts. And I've literally had times, I remember I was literally in my bathroom like 2 weeks ago, and I was like thinking about these thoughts that kind of came to me from after watching something really negative about somebody's body image or something like that. And I was looking at myself in the mirror, I'm like, oh gosh, like, you know, I feel so many of these just like negative thoughts out in my head. And I remember literally telling myself, I was like, I'm gonna put on the helmet of salvation. Like, I'm gonna put on the helmet of salvation. My identity, like, because I was like, should I be dressing like this, or should I be, you know, getting this done, or just whatever. And there's no judgment and no shame to that. But I think it just was starting to intrude my thoughts of like, no, I'm a child of God. I like, it's okay that you have acne right now. You're not ugly. You're, you know, just those kind of things. So I feel like I've been in the process of kind of just setting down my phone and not letting it be. I think so many times we let that be like where we live our life. And I'm trying to like let that just be like literally where I post the overflow of my life. Like not where I am going to like for the source of life. And so that's kind of like some of the things that I've been doing. And I know you've been super similar to me. And so where like what's kind of like been the first step that you've taken and whatnot? Because I know like obviously we both said awareness. And I was actually reading a book which helped me become aware of this. It's called Soul Care, and it is beautiful. And we were reading that book in Bible study, and I know you were kind of just, was it you feeling a lot of emotions as far, or feelings as far as like comparison and just like heaviness? Like what kind of made you take that
on this journey? I think for one, going off of the word you said, desensitization is like, I think I've hit a point where, very similar to Maya, I've just been scrolling and seeing just the way that we comment on people's posts is so horrendous. Like, I read some of these comments on posts that we were talking about just this amazing girl launched a company, and you know, you go to the comments and it's just like, you couldn't even imagine, like, how could someone tear this girl down? And you go to the comments and you're like, oh, people will find a way.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've gotten to the point where I'm so used to those comments and seeing stuff like that I just don't even acknowledge it anymore. And I'm like, oh, whatever. And something we talked about earlier is like, there's someone on the other side of the phone receiving that.
Yeah.
And people have become so fearless on social media to say things because you will never see that person.
Yeah.
Most likely in real life. And so there's this barrier that people have this sudden bravery to say these things that they would never say, never have the audacity to say to someone's face. So I feel like I've just seen, honestly, a lot of influencers coming out more about just the journey that they've been on and like handling these comments and handling these words. And that's at like an influencer level. And then obviously there's so much effect just like in the way that we see ourselves on social media in comparison and all of that. I think I've just become, all that to say, so aware of what's really happening on social media.
And what do you feel like what is really happening?
And I just think that the enemy has, and when I say that, he is so real. And in a lot of ways, I think we see the enemy as this, like, I'm reading this book right now, Your Story as Villain by Jonathan Pullitt, and I can't recommend it enough. And he talks a lot about how we often envision the enemy as this like little creature sitting on our shoulder, and then there's like Cupid sitting on the other shoulder, and this little guy is saying like, don't do that, and then this person's doing like, do that. And so I think we just have this like very characterized view of the enemy, but really what he does in my life mainly is come through like avenues that I wouldn't expect and that are already just kind of a part of my life. And I think for most of us, that's social media. And so I think what I've realized and what I'm seeing is the ways in which he is desensitizing us to these issues on social media that are so huge and that are tearing our lives apart and creating anxiety and depression. And John Bucklota gives the example of like when you're shooting at a target and you're a little off, you completely miss the target, but in your head you're like, I'm just a little bit off. But really, like, eventually over time, those little turns from the target take you so far away from the target that you look back months, years, a decade down the line and you're like, oh my gosh, I've gotten so far from my identity, who I am. I'm believing so many lies, I don't even know where to start unpacking. And I just, for me, I think that's what I'm really realizing that is happening in my own life with social media, and I think so many others. And he brings up, I just saw that, I read this last night and I thought it was so good. And of course, like, I'm reading this book, it's not all about social media, but of course he talks about it in it, and it was perfect timing for today. But he just talks about how back when we called it Twitter, I remember seeing a tweet from John Piper that stopped me dead in my tracks. He wrote, one of the great uses of Twitter and Facebook will be to prove at the last day that prayerlessness was not from a lack of time. And so, like I said, I think the desensitization is one thing in my life I've noticed, but the other is just that oftentimes in my relationship with God, what is at the root of that, which is so like, you would never think that this would be the cause of a lacking relationship with God, but I really think most of the time it's social media in my life. It's the amount of time that I spend on it. It's just this lie that I believe that like when I have free time to unplug and unwind, I'm going to spend 6 hours scrolling on social media. And like we said earlier, social media is not a bad thing. It has a time and place, 1000%. But I have realized that when I have downtime, my immediate response, like without even thinking, is like, I'm going to pick up my phone. And without even thinking, I'm already on the Instagram app. I'm already on the TikTok app. Like, I'm not even like processing what I'm doing, but I've gotten so used to just immediately picking up my phone. I'm so reliant on it, I guess, to fill my time. And I'm at the place where I've fully acknowledged that. I'm still unveiling like the weight of what that's done in my life and my mindset and my relationship with God and all that. But I feel like I'm at the point of recognition to these things, of just the desensitization and just the effect it's had on my relationship with God.
Yeah.
And yesterday even, I just felt like I was like, I need to take the day off my phone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I need to completely get off my phone. And this leads us to our next point. When I got off my phone, and we talked a lot about this morning, is like I get off my phone and I'm like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
Like, I am like a recovering addict in a lot of ways. I know that sounds so serious to say, but like that is how serious this issue is like I have been developing patterns since I was 12 or 13.
Yeah.
And I'm 24. So that's 11, 12 years of just like consistently turning to my phone when I'm bored.
Yeah.
And I don't want to live like that anymore, but now I'm almost having to relearn how do I use free time healthily? What does that look like? And kind of like you said, like just learning to like really live. It's easy to live when we have big things going on, but like how do I live when I have nothing going on apart from my phone?
That's so good. And I love you were talking about desensitization.
That is,
how do you say that?
Desensitization.
Wow. What likely said? We talked about that. I cannot say that. Copy and paste. And then I feel like a lot of what you were mentioning was like distraction.
Yeah.
And it's like, why does this matter? Like, why does this conversation even matter? Like, us being on our phone, it's like, because it's distracting us from living life.
Yeah.
Like, this, like, social media, it's like distracting us, it's desensitizing us.
Yeah.
You know, it's also distracting so many others behind the screen. But it's like, if we're not able, like we said, social media can be a very beautiful, good thing.
Yes.
But it's like, if we are like addicted to it and we're forming this habit, it's like that is keeping us from living life. And it's like we're wondering why we don't feel, you know, like why we're not overflowing, why we're not, you know, joyful, why we're not like walking into the fullness of life. And it can be something, and it's like a great thing, but it's also a complex thing, but it's something as simple as like, where are we spending our free time, you know? And like whenever it becomes such a distraction from us, like walking and actually, like you mentioned earlier, you're talking about your day off of your phone, you're like, I saw the birds flying. It's like actually seeing like the life around us. And we were talking about this, like I said, in Bible study book club. So the first few weeks we're like, okay, we're acknowledging kind of these things. And then what I believe so wholeheartedly, because if I've literally watched this in my life, and like all of the girls, and you even, when we were talking about it, like you experienced this, but it's like, okay, where do we go from here? Like, I was like sitting and I was like, okay, I don't want to be on my phone, but like it's so easy when I'm home in Florida, because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna go like hang out with my friends, I'm gonna go do this, like I have some people around me, but some of you maybe are, I keep thinking about the post-grad people right now who are like, and that's especially hard whenever you're post-grad and you're watching everybody else's life, and then you just move to a new city or you're moving or whatever it is. And I think about, you know, like whenever I'm in Pennsylvania, I don't have a lot of people around, and so I sit down and like, okay, I'm done with my phone, and then I'm like, what next? Like what, like I've become so, I want to pick it up because I'm like, I don't really know what to do. And this is so funny, one of the girls in my book club, she literally asked ChatGPT, she was like, give me a whole list of like things to do, because she was like, does anyone else just feel bored? Like, and I think a lot of times we go to our phone because we're bored. Like we go to social media because we're bored. And we're 1000% and it's like I'm no shame. I'll admit it. Like we'll both admit it. It's like we go there because it's like, well, and then even you get in this place and you're like Blakely and I, and you've acknowledged, and then you're like, well, I don't know what else to do. And you're kind of like almost ashamed to say that, because you're like, well, does that mean I don't have hobbies? Does that mean I'm a loser? Like, does that mean like what? But then it's like in reality, it's like, no, like you're bored. You haven't probably developed any hobbies because you've been so busy or on your phone, or you've just been honestly letting that be your hobby. And so what it was actually like the whole prompt, there was a bunch of different things that it said. But something I've noticed, and like just I guess like the next step is like figuring out how you want to like not figuring out, but like asking how should I fill my time? One, and then two, like finding some things you enjoy. I talk to people all the time, and they're like, I don't have a hobby, like I don't have anything that like I enjoy doing, and I'm like, well, what have you tried? And they're like, nothing. Like, and I'm like,
that's me. I'm such a hypocrite. I will literally be like, oh, I have no hobbies. I have like, but you form hobbies when you have nothing to do. Like, when you're busy, you don't take on a new hobby. Because your time is already full 100%. And you're at full capacity. But hobbies are birthed out of, okay, I have nothing to do. So like, in the olden days, I feel like so many people sewed, made clothes, all these things because like our grandmothers, because when they had nothing to do, that's what they would do. They would pick up a new hobby. Whereas I'm like, oh, I want to learn how to do all these things, but when I have free time to learn how to do all these things, I spend 6 hours on my phone.
Exactly. That is me. Like, I can think of so many little projects that I have in my mind. Like, for example, even just Chance and I's wedding album. Like, I would love to create a wedding album. We've been married 3 years almost. Like, that is pathetic, Maya. But I'm just outing myself. But it's funny because it's like in reality, I've had time. And actually, Xander said that, who's behind the camera producing. But what did he say that you quoted?
He said, you said it's not that you don't have time. It's just that you're not priority. Okay, I think one time I had said like, oh, I didn't have time to work out. I think I called Xander and he was like, no, you did have time. You just didn't prioritize doing that.
Exactly. And that's where it's like, I'm like, it's like, okay, with this free time that now you have, it's like, what do you want to, like, maybe make a list of, don't make like a super overcomplicated list. What we're trying to do is, if you're trying to break a habit, you know, then you're going to have this free time. If you think about somebody who, I know this sounds extreme, but who has like been drinking all the time. Like I think about me in college when I would go out and party and drinking all the time. It's like when I was trying to break that habit, I didn't just go and sit alone in my bed and be like, okay, I'm just going to sit here all day. Like, and then, you know, it's like, I was like, okay, I'm going to go, like, this isn't fun, but study. I'm going to go to the park. I'm going to invite friends to hang out, you know, just those kind of things. And I think maybe make a list of, okay, you're trying to get off your phone, make a list. I'm always reading like a Christian book, I would say, like, or a book about that's more kind of challenging, but then I'm also reading like a fun book, you know, like Redeeming Love or something along those lines that's like where I can kind of turn off my brain. So like for me, it's like one of my things is we're really big, you'll see on this podcast, about practicals. And this is kind of like where this hits in, but it's like for me, it's like, okay, one is like I have a book I could read, and then 2, I have watercolor at home, and like, or then 3, it's like I like walking or like challenging myself to, maybe you want to challenge yourself to like a half marathon, or I don't know, we always say, and a lot of us, like, we have these intentions to do these awesome things in life, but we don't do them a lot of times because we're distracted, and because we don't realize that we say, oh, we don't have time, which could be true for some people, but then I know for me, if I'm really honest, I have the time, it's just that I'm spending it doing other things, and so we hope that, honestly, this podcast really, like, frees you to be able to do those really awesome things that one, God's calling you to and that you want to do. And something I've even thought about is Shrike's getting therapy trained right now to like go and to like go into, he made this decision all by himself. No,
literally.
He said, I want to help. Yes. And so, but anyways, that like he's getting therapy trained right now. And I've been trying to do it for like the past few months. But like, because I've been like, oh, well, I've just been putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. And it's like, I have time to do it with him. I just haven't. And so I've been thinking about whenever I don't have my phone, I have time to go outside and train him. The hour that I would have spent, I can go train him. And then him and I can start doing things and going and serving. And I would say if you're really struggling, this is the last one of my tips, and then I want to hear yours, to replace your phone. And I know this sounds like super kind of cheesy, but if you don't have friends, for me, for example, I don't have a bunch of people around me like to hang out with, because of a lot of them like don't live, like a lot of girls don't live around me. I live with Chance and the baseball team. And so one thing that has really helped me is I'm like, okay, like serve. Like if you're really lonely right now, I encourage you to try and like, is there a church I can serve at VBS? Kids will entertain you like nobody's business. Kids aren't your thing. Try and serve at, a park, old person, like, elderly. Yes, exactly. Like, I think that it's not that we don't have the time. And I think also, like, if we prioritize that and maybe saw that as an opportunity, it would be so much more life-giving than an hour on social media. And this is all basic stuff. Like, I hope that you hear this and you're like, oh, this isn't that complex, but it's going to help your life. Like, you want a full life, you want an overflow life. It's like, then we got to start walking, for sure, like how Jesus would. And I think that's how he prioritized his time. So good. And so anyways, I would love to hear, and you didn't have obviously social media to, battle with, but there's other things. And this is a huge battle of our generation, if we're honest.
For sure. And I think something too that I was thinking about when you were talking, is like, I have only ever lived with a ton of girls. Like I did a program before college, lived with 8 girls in a room, then went to college and constantly lived with not only girls in the house, but like a direct roommate.
Yeah.
And then like graduated, live with girls in a different place, and now I don't.
Yeah.
And it can be so lonely, especially I'm such an extrovert.
Yeah.
I love being with people. I usually don't need much alone time. So then when I get it, I'm like, wait, what do I do with myself?
Yeah.
Like, how do I handle this?
Yeah.
And obviously, I think that that's made the journey of my relationship with social media a little bit worse because I have so many days where like, this sounds so low-ish, maybe it is, but so many nights where I'm just like, okay, well, I'm not like much of a show person, like I don't really watch movies, whatever, so I'll just sit on my phone. And I think something that I really feel passionate about with this is like it takes discipline getting off your phone. And I think we are so programmed, especially our generation, to do things that make us feel good.
Wow.
And like to do things that's like live your truth, do what makes you feel good. And if at the end of the day you want to rot on your phone, I hate that. I'm sorry. That has become such a trend to be like, it's rotting hour. I'm like, that is, yes, I do that.
Yeah.
Like, that is not okay. And I think we have just gotten so desensitized to what that really means. Like, it's called rotting hour because you are literally rotting your brain.
Yeah.
And so many nights I fall into that where I'm like literally just rotting on my phone. And I think something just to take note of is like, it takes discipline to choose the thing that you might not be like reaching for in that moment. And I think that's a challenge for you, but it's also a challenge for me of just like a practical tool is reminding yourself of the truth of like, yes, I can spend, 20 minutes on social media tonight. A practical is like literally turn a timer on, and I have the timer that makes me get off the app, but it doesn't work. I've pressed ignore for like the last 3 years straight. I'm pretty sure I don't even notice the reminder comes.
She's desensitized.
I'm completely it's hilarious. I don't even know oh my gosh. It probably comes on at 7 a.m. because I'll wake up and sit on my phone on Instagram right when I wake up, which is terrible. But I think a practical is literally setting a timer in a way that like actually alerts you, whether that's on your computer, on, your oven, on your phone, just like on the stopwatch app. Because I do think there is a healthy balance to find. And this is just a journey about, for me at least, figuring out what's a healthy way to be on it.
So good.
And so
good.
That practical of like knowing, yes, that takes discipline. So like, what does the discipline look like for you? And for me, I think it's like literally setting like time limits, apart from obviously our work, which can be difficult. But then also I think another practical that I realized a lot yesterday is like, I think sometimes when we have free time, I am so like, Lord, like, I want this to be so productive. And
So
like,
such good.
I want this to be like, I want to like have all these crazy revelations at the end of the day because I've like spent all this time with you. And like you hear people talking about like their day of Sabbath or like their day off. And it was just like the most crazy, like God revealed like what their next 10 years gonna look like. This is me being dramatic, but like, you know what I mean? And I had that moment yesterday where I felt like I was trying so hard to like make this day be like this crazy spiritual day. And I just felt like almost, I say this metaphor, like I felt like God like almost slapped me in the face and was like, I just want you to rest. Like I just want you to rest in whatever way that looks today. Is that playing with your dogs?
Yeah.
For me it was. Is that starting a new book? Like sometimes reading isn't restful for me, but yesterday it felt like that would be restful. Some days for me it's like going on a walk or working out or reaching out to a friend to hang out, or I think it just all goes back to like being intentional. And some days rest literally looks like not setting an alarm and like letting yourself sleep and like letting your body heal and recover and all the things. So I think figuring out what rest looks like healthfully. And I'm not saying don't watch a good movie or a good show. I'm not against that by any means. That's just not typically like what I love to do. But sometimes it could be like I want to snuggle up on the couch and watch a good throwback movie and eat popcorn and candy and
I had that.
Call it a day. Like that is completely okay. But I think just identifying ways or different things to replace the time on your phone with when you want to just rest and unwind. And
I love that you say that too, because I think about it. Chance, my husband, loves to watch movies. We all know this. His whole family, like that is like their rest time. Like they love
literally every movie.
Every movie, he can quote everything. It is like, it's kind of wild. And I think what's so important, it's like, you know, it'd be different, like just putting social media in the terms of how we're, like say we were using that movies like that in our free time. Maybe you're using something else in your free time. Like maybe it's just binging shows. Like maybe you are sitting there and it's like, you know, okay, watching 1 or 2 episodes of something. Like that's not like a bad thing, you know? But it's like what we've become to do with it is because we are just like kind of seeking that comfort and seeking just like that satisfaction almost. Is we churn from 1 to 2 episodes, 1 to 2 minutes, or 10 to 15 minutes on social media, to then having a full day where we've spent 4 or 5 hours watching 17 episodes, and we've watched 3 movies, and that's the thing that we're like, it's not that the social media is bad, it's not that the movie's bad, it's not that, I mean, obviously there's bads of those things, but it's like, it's the amount that we're like using them, you know, it's the amount that we are like letting them consume our free time and we're not actually getting out there living. And anyway, so I just love that whenever you're kind of talking about that. And so I think that's kind of what we wanted this episode to be. It's just like an honest conversation, like this is what our free time looks like. You know, like we've really seen this struggle with social media. Maybe you're somebody you're listening to this and you kind of are like, man, I've been feeling like that with TV. I've been feeling that way about just like sleeping or whatever it is. It might be that's just kind of like distracting you in your free time from really living a full life. And so we kind of want to just end this episode here. We're going to actually do a part 2 to this and share kind of like what we've learned like after putting these things in practice. I think this is a really good time for you to just kind of stop and be like, okay, I've had this honest conversation with my friends, Maya Blakely. Now where do I go from here? Like maybe you take the time now, like you've had some things that have been brought into your awareness. You take the time now, ask the Lord, God, this is what I'm kind of struggling with right now. Will you help show me like the 1, 2, 3 things that I can kind of do and start replacing? And then we'll see you back next time. Blakely, do you have anything else?
Last thing I'll say is a good practical from this book is really like looking at your screen time, like taking inventory of how much time you're on it and just noticing your tendencies. I think I challenge you to take a day off of social media and really just notice how much you're reaching for it, because I think, like I said, the first step is awareness. And the last thing I'll say is I think all of this coming up in my own life has been really defeating in a lot of ways, and just coming to reality to where I'm at with it just feels so heavy and gross and all the things. And so I just advise you that as you're doing this process for yourself and as things come up, and you know, just being reminded that it's okay to feel just sad about it, because the reality is it is sad. But something I want to encourage myself and you listening to this and watching it is just like, there is freedom that can come from this, and it might take steps to get there, and it's not going to be an overnight process, but I really think that we all can get to such a healthier place with social media in our life. And so we are excited to walk with you through this, because we really do feel like we are walking in the midst of this, and this isn't something that we're at the other side of. It's something we're very much so walking through. So we're excited to be on this journey with you guys, and we can't wait to...
I have one more thing on that. Sorry.
Go.
It made me think of, in our weakness, we are made strong.
Yes.
And it says, my grace is sufficient for you. So it's like, in your weakness, know that like, we are able to be made strong and like by His grace. And so I think if you said something earlier, and this is Blakely's word, so I'm not taking it, but this is, she was saying, you know, whenever we come back into, like, I feel like I just need to be like a child and just come down and be like, God, I'm struggling with this. And so if that's you, don't feel like something's too little or too big. I feel like to come into God's presence and just be like a kid and be like, I'm struggling with this, you know? So His grace is sufficient for you. Love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast and having an honest conversation with us. And half hearing girl over here.
Thank you.